Okay, what is the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and what does it protect? The Fifth Amendment has a lot of protections in it. To start with, in the criminal law context, that is, when an individual is being subjected to a substantive or procedural criminal law, the individual does not have to testify against themselves. They don't have to bear witness against themselves. That is, they can't be put on the stand and be asked to tell about their activity when they're being charged with some level of criminal activity. Okay, so a defendant cannot be made or compelled to testify in this way. Also, in the criminal context, an individual cannot be subjected to criminal prosecution more than one time for the exact same type of conduct by that governing body. Now, note, this doesn't prevent the federal government and the state government from prosecuting the individual if that same conduct constitutes state law crime and a federal crime. So this can still happen. It's not that common, but it can still happen. But by and large, the same body of law, the same, say, for example, the federal court prosecuting an individual for this conduct that constitutes a crime, if the crime is prosecuted all the way to fruition, that is, the individual is acquitted, then they cannot be prosecuted again. Now, they can be prosecuted again if a verdict is overturned, that is, a finding of guilty is overturned. They sent back by the appellate court, they can be prosecuted again. Or if there's a mistrial, they can be prosecuted again because the trial has not been prosecuted to fruition. So that's a limitation there. Also under the Fifth Amendment is the federal takings clause. That is, the federal government has the authority to take private property for the public interest. That is, it's commonly referred to as eminent domain. It sets the standard for that an individual must be provided with just compensation if property is taken for a government purpose, okay, for public benefit. Now, and lastly, and arguably the most important provision under the Fifth Amendment is the establishment of due process rights. That is, the right to fair and just process in the administration of law against that individual, and that's known as the Federal Due Process Clause. And we'll talk about the Due Process Clause more in subsequent video series.